Hi, welcome to my exercise. I don't know why my seatbelt's on for this, I'm not going anywhere. Exercise application video 1. I am going to give a quick disclaimer at the beginning of this. I have some health conditions that affect my GI a lot, and so a lot of days I do pretty moderate intensity exercise. You'll hear me say this again throughout these videos. But a lot of my workouts are a lot more on the moderate side, because when I'm flared up, I'm not able to do much. So keep that in mind. But let's get into it. Today I did a back and bicep workout. It was, again, pretty moderate, about 40 minutes. And in class, we've been talking about bioenergetics, and we just got into talking about energy metabolism. But I'm going to focus more today on the bioenergetics and the different pathways I'm using while I was doing that workout. So because it was weightlifting, and most of my sets hang out around the 3 sets of 8 reps range, so I'm in a pretty short time frame there. So when I'm actually working, my body is predominantly using the PCR system, which is where you have your phosphocreatine and ADP, you break off a phosphate, add it to the ADP and make ATP. So that's fueling a lot of my movements in there. Sometimes when I get into drop sets of things, in particular, which I'll get into back extensions, I did until failure today. So I can be there for 1 to 2 minutes. So definitely a little bit longer than maybe like my 30 seconds I'm normally doing for like an actual working set. I can start to get into glycolysis. So what's happening, so let's say I was doing my lat pull downs. I did 3 sets of 10 for those. As I'm doing those, I'm predominantly using PCR because those are just quick movements. It's no longer than a minute that I'm hanging out there. Which I guess you do start to get a little in between PCR and glycolysis, but I'm still predominantly in the PCR system. But then as I start to use up all my phosphocreatine, I'm cycling more into glycolysis. So as I'm doing things like sets of failure with lower back extensions, which is a very and I don't use weight when I do them, so I'm doing very high reps, so I can be there for a long time. I'm starting to get into glycolysis, and something that happens here is as I start to do those, I notice when I'm almost failing because my lower back, what I'm trying to work there, starts to really burn, and I'm not able to do many more once that starts to set in. And what's happening is my body is not producing enough ATP. It's not meeting the demand my body is asking of it, and so I have excess NADH because my electron transport chain is not able to use all of that NADH. And so that NADH goes up, and I release lactate and I release hydrogen ions. And those hydrogen ions create like a free acid in my lower back. So what's happening is there's actually acid in my back. And so when I start to feel that burn as I'm in that glycolytic pathway and I'm doing, a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes of those back extensions, is I'm having a buildup of that acid. And that tells my body, hey, it's probably about time to quit. So after probably five slow reps of that burn, that's when I reach failure. And I do that 3 times for lower back extensions. But for the most part, I was in the PCR system today. I did not get into anything aerobic. I guess there was a slight bit of that because you can still hear my I'm breathing a little heavier, my heart rate's in about the 120s, 130s consistently for that 40 minutes. So my body is having to sustain a little more, significantly more energy than when I'm just at rest. But I'm not doing anything really cardio-based. I'm not running, I'm not swimming, biking, anything like that. So I'm really not having to tap into that oxidative phosphorylation, because these also aren't movements that I could maintain for an hour. I can't do lat pull downs at the weight that I can do for 10 for an hour. That just wouldn't work. I would begin to fatigue very quickly. We'd get into that lactate and that loose hydrogen, so that wouldn't work. So yeah, that is my application from class to my workout today.